What's going on, guys? Teddy Baldassarre from TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're going to be looking at a watch you're probably not familiar with, but you should be. It's a new watch from Dufrane with their Waterloo. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at this watch and then share some final thoughts on things to consider if you are looking in the direction of this piece. This watch is available for purchase on TeddyBaldassarre.com. We carry 30 different brands, full authorized dealer, so full factory warranty. We can ensure that we can get this product to you in a quick and timely manner so you're not waiting around, unlike a lot of other stores where you don't even know if they have the product in stock. And in addition, 9 out of every $10 that we make on our website go right back into the content, fostering a new generation of watch enthusiasts. But guys, let's take a closer look at this watch. All right, now first looking at a rundown of the specs, we have a case size of 39 millimeters, thickness of 10.4 millimeters, lug width of 20 millimeters, lug to lug of 47 millimeters, water resistance of 100 meters, movement Sellita SW200, crystal is sapphire, and price $575 on TeddyBaldassarre.com. Again, full authorized dealer of Dufrane watches, as well as all of the other brands that we carry. So first, a little bit of backstory on Dufrane, just because I know they are a smaller micro brand, but are producing some really solid pieces out there. You may have been familiar with a piece that I've covered in the past, may have seen elsewhere, the Barton Springs 656. Very attractive, minimalist, I would say oriented dive watch with a lot of undertones and tributes to the city in which Dufrane calls home in Austin, Texas. Dufrane, despite being a small brand being started in 2016, have really developed a good reputation for well-constructed timepieces, more of the sports variety, which I think makes this Waterloo a nice change of pace. And to be honest, this is probably my favorite piece that the brand has ever released to date. And we're looking at the general market here. I think when you look at the specs, it's pretty impressive when you break this thing down. Now, this watch is going to be hand-assembled in the United States as well as regulated here as well. And just to speak to regulation really quick, because I think this was one of the shining points for the watch in general, this one was running at perfect time of day on the time graph for this specific model that I'm going to be reviewing here. So just giving some anecdotal evidence of this timepiece, because I know when looking at a micro brand, that can go a long way. Breaking down the dimensions of this one, we do have a 39 millimeter case, comfortable lug to lug of 47 millimeters, and being relatively thin at 10.4 millimeters. On my 6¼ inch wrist, this one wears very well in terms of its size, and I think wears also very true to that 39 millimeter when factoring in that lug to lug distance and wearing rather thin on the wrist overall. And for a watch of this styling, I would say lack of a rotating bezel. I almost see this Goldilocks zone being between 38 and 40 millimeters. And I think this is right in the middle of that. So I think this is going to be appropriate for a wide variety of wrists there on the market. The case comes in stainless steel and is finely brushed with some small polished accents across the case profile. But it predominantly is going to be more brushed in of that muted kind of tone here. I think works well with the dial elements that we'll get to in a moment. Now, for the lug width on this piece, we do have 20 millimeters, which is going to allow a variety of different straps to be paired here. The one that comes with it, the factory strap, is of a calfskin variety. It's rather simple in its approach. I definitely think I would go for some third-party options. But on the note of straps, I think an important point here is the actual holes within the lugs itself. So there's two sets of actual places to position your spring bar. First is the drilled lug holes that you're going to see as you're looking at the side of the lugs. And that is going to be the place for a curved spring bar. So that is what is appearing here. It's going to really, I think, allow the strap to, I think, more cohesively kind of merge within the actual lugs and form to the case quite well. I think this is very flattering for pairing a strap with the watch, and I think creates a great look. Then there's another set of holes within the lugs that are going to offer the inclusion of just standard straight spring bars. So you have both options there. And I think that's a great added feature of this. They also, for the strap that's coming with this, is going to feature quick release bars. And just as another point, when thinking about the curved spring bars, straight spring bars, I have found even calfskin straps that are made for straight spring bars, because they're not as rigid as, say, a reptilian leather, they usually will actually contour to that of a curved spring bar. So I think there's a lot of versatility here. This watch, in terms of its overall look, is going to offer that. But in addition to that, those two separate points for spring bars is really going to offer a lot for the wearer. Along the 3 o'clock side, we do have a large crown on this piece. It's easy to engage. It operates in typical fashion. It's non-screw down, so at the first position, hand winding. Second position, you can change that date. And the farthest out point, you can adjust the time while stopping the second hand in the process, so hacking seconds here. Taking one step inward, we do have kind of a stepped bezel design that I think really elevates the looks of this piece. Also features a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, providing a clear view of the dial elements within. Now, looking at the arrangement of this dial surface, this is very different than, I would say, the more conventional dials that you're going to see in this price range commonly. First, starting with the central dial surface, which is very minimal in terms of what is happening, I would classify the texture of the surface itself as more of a linen style dial, very distinct, very eye-catching, and provides a nice base for those blue leaf style hands at the center. The minute track as well as the numerals are kind of etched out into the actual surface itself and provides a different type of view. And since the numerals are set right within the minute track itself, not set inward like you commonly see in many instances, I think it does create a different type of experience when viewing, especially with this more step design linen dial surface at the center. On the surface, this dial I think does come off a bit more dressy in its appearance, but it does have some upsides in the casual department with that 100 meters of water resistance, which is a great benefit, but also does have the inclusion of Superluminova. So it's applied underneath the 12, 3, 6, and 9 indices, as well as at the ends of the blued hands. And despite the limited surface area where this lume is actually occupying, it still shines quite well. Now flipping this Waterloo over, we have a screw down case back featuring the Texas star set right at the center. Now inside of the actual case back itself, this is probably the strongest single value argument for this watch, with this one including a Sellita SW200, a workhorse Swiss caliber closely related to the ETA 2824-2. Now, when I look at watches around $500 with a retail price, and you're talking about a Swiss automatic movement, especially at a high beat, 28,800 vibrations per hour, it's actually a very short list, especially if you're looking outside the Swatch Group, which usually will have first dibs on a lot of those proprietary ETA calibers that they can throw into their watches in very competitive price ranges, say Hamilton, for example. And even seeing a Sellita movement in watches multiples and multiples of the price, I think it's still a very good movement for the money. Easy to regulate, and pretty much any watchmaker out there can handle one and service it for you on your behalf. So there's a lot of upsides with going for a third-party provider like Sellita. So this one operates at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hz. It has a 38-hour power reserve. It does feature hacking and hand winding, hacking stopping the second hand when pulling out the crown to the farthest position. And just to speak to regulation on this particular Dufrane, this one, when testing at different positions, was running on average of 0 to plus 1 second a day. So very well done in the regulation department here. All right, so now just some things to consider if looking in the direction of this piece. And whenever somebody's looking at a micro brand, for example, I always tell people that you can't kind of only go halfway in. You can't have 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door. You have to really commit to wanting a micro brand, because I think when considering the brand equity standpoint, these are not as popular brands out there. The market is going to be much smaller than more traditional brands like a Hamilton, for example. But in terms of what is delivered in a lot of cases, I think there could be some really compelling and very different watches compared to what you might see in some other people's wrists. And I think that is really the whole intrigue in terms of this world of micro brands. Looking at this Dufrane, I think this is a really attractive looking piece. I think the dial is very unique with this linen dial surface. It has a nice wearable case. 20mm lug width should offer a variety of different straps to be paired here. And from a movement with that regulation and a value perspective, I don't think you really can dispute much here. I think this is just a solid contender. If you are looking in the micro brand range, you like the looks of this one, I think this is one to add to the list. Solid regulated movement, sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, more distinct and I'd say different type of dial design, which can pull some people in. This watch certainly isn't going to be for everybody that wants more of that brand equity standpoint, but for somebody that is looking for something different on the wrist and wants a good value, I think Dufrane did a very nice job with this Waterloo, and it's a nice new addition to the micro brand world. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Really would appreciate that. In addition, this watch is available for purchase on TeddyBaldassarre.com. Full factory warranty for all the brands we carry, quick, fast delivery. In addition, we have price match, so fill out the form on the product page. We'll give you a call. And in addition, it's also a great way to support the growing world of watch enthusiasts, as that's what we try to do with all of our free content, non-sponsored content on our main channel. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I'll see you all very soon.